Oh, hello, Paul. Kerry Proctor here from Microchannel. Thought I'd just put down some notes in video format and show you a bit of product to see if the approach I'm going to recommend makes sense for the business and get your feedback, please. Feel free to share this with your colleagues if you think that is worthwhile doing. So from our discussions today, my understanding is the Petra group of companies has a number of different businesses. I think you mentioned one called Cota, but I wasn't too sure if I wrote that down correctly. But a successful group of companies, a long trading history over 2 decades, and more recently probably become more diversified in leveraging the history of the company. Excuse me. Some of the issues the business has are what I might call typical success issues. Lots of disparate systems. People do that, and businesses do that. They add another application here, another application somewhere else. And as the business grows, there's an awful lot of labour and overhead just trying to reconcile and report between disparate systems. So a lot of time and effort goes in copying from one to another, or one spreadsheet to somewhere else. And it doesn't really support good management reporting typically. I think you thought there might be leakage in the business, but that's not visible. So there's some money to be captured there. And I've put growth through diversification. I'm not too sure, Paul, if I've said it quite correctly there. What I was meaning to say is as we discussed, that each of the businesses in the group themselves aren't overly complex, but when you put multiple different styles of businesses together, finding one solution to fit all adds to a little bit of complexity. Part of the vision you've got is to grow the business without adding any additional headcount, and that's one that many clients put this type of software in for. There's definite need for the management to have visibility across the business and actually get reporting out quicker, faster, and to be able to understand issues well before they happen. And keeping with the history of Petra, deliver industry best service and practices. My understanding, the board of directors is seeking an estimate for a replacement system, some understanding of the duration to deploy, a visual understanding of Dynamics 365 Business Central and what it delivers, and the interest is in also management reporting on smartphones and tablets. So I'd like to show you that and show you the product shortly. So this is the last slide, then I'll jump into the product and explain my logic for you. So it's worthwhile understanding that BC, as I'm going to call it, it's a bit easier, comprises a whole bunch of functionality you get automatically. So it's general ledger, and that's a multi-company general ledger. It includes intercompany postings. It includes consolidation if you need it, cash book and fixed assets. The system will handle sales requisitions, sales orders, invoicing and debtors, purchase requisitions, purchase orders, invoicing and creditors management, inventory, multi-location, serial numbers, assembly, BOMs, jobs or projects, which is one area I want to focus on in this session, manufacturing, which is discrete, which is an option. I haven't costed that in. And the system includes its own contact management come CRM. It also automatically out of the box integrates with Dynamics 365 Sales CRM and Office 365. Pricing I'll come back to later on, but it's quite inexpensive, and you can start off early. Let's say half a dozen users to start while you're doing it, so you can keep it low cost and low risk. So where I'm coming from, Paul, is sometimes I think it's worthwhile looking at your long-term vision. It's also worthwhile looking at what can you get out of the box today and how close does that get to your requirements. And if you're trying to get an integrated system end to end, and all these systems are integrated, not disparate, then you're probably getting 80, 90, 95% of what you require out of the box pretty much straight away, low risk. You can then make a business decision on whether you want to spend additional money if that gives a return on investment to the business, but get that integration going, get that visibility to what's happening across the business going, and then you can move on from there. So let me have a look at a couple of things I think are going to be important to you. This is the main menu of Business Central, and I'm in Kronos, Australia. It's got some insights up the top, and this is very much a dashboard. So I want to cover off dashboard, breadth, CRM, and jobs, because they're probably the critical ones for you to appreciate and understand, and we need to discuss the degree of fit. So when Business Central is deployed, you actually have up here, okay, under settings, a whole bunch of roles. So I've signed in as an accountant. Paul, you'd probably more likely sign in as a business manager because your requirements are a bit different. And each of these roles has different dashboards. So on the accountant's role, for example, and I'm going to stay in the accountant's role, it automatically defaults to these ribbons up the top that says, okay, I want to look at my chart of accounts, I want to look at my bank accounts, I want to look at purchase orders, my BAS reporting, cash flow, etc. Very accounting focused. My most common actions are up here, and tasks and standard reports are also available. What I've set up on this one is down the bottom down here, I've set up my report inbox, and you can schedule these reports. And this is one of the things that the management team might want to think about too. You could set this up to actually have the standard reports produced every day. And as soon as you come along, you get a copy of accounts receivable, a copy of accounts payable, the trial balance, maybe a P&L, etc., or cash flow forecast. Just a couple of examples. So this dashboard comes along. On the example we have here, then things like purchase order approvals. So you start to use workflow now rather than just send purchase orders out. They go through an approval process, and Paul, maybe you have to sign each one. They're not signed, but just click it on your phone and approve it. That's giving you visibility of what's happening and giving you a chance to capture things early. So sales orders pending as well. You may want to put a rule in here that says, any sales order over $50,000, you want to see it first, right? Because you want to make sure your cost of goods are right, that the margins are right, the trading terms are okay, all these sorts of things. So these sort of tiles are set up on the main dashboard, and it just makes life that much easier. Across here, we've got some videos in this one. We've got some timesheets. So if your staff are putting timesheets in, they may need approving as well. And down the bottom, I haven't set up Power BI on this example, but here's the sort of thing. You can set up various graphs or KPIs, and that will show you some details. And in here, if I've got multiples of these, I can say previous graph, move back to another one, or I'll go back to the next chart and leave it there. So if you're running this sort of system, though, as an accountant end-to-end, then you've only got one entry, okay? So you've got one version of the truth, as I often say, and so you've got all that there. One of the things that if, say, Jemina undertakes a cash flow forecast, what Business Central will do, if you connect it over to Cortana machine learning, or Cortana Intelligence, I should say, it will start to go through your accounts receivable or your debtors, your payables, and look at when you pay your actual individual vendors, when your customers actually pay you, and update your sales forecast. Okay, so a very nice way of suddenly getting a big jump forward. Okay, another thing I wanted to show in here is we'll go into Designer. These dashboards, whilst you have many of them, you can actually start designing your own. So here's the dashboard. I can put things on, take them off. But if you notice up under here, I can say, okay, how do I want that to look on a tablet? So one of your board members has got an iPhone. We can change these around, how do they want to see this stuff? Or maybe Sam just uses a smartphone. What does he want on these? And we can actually change the look and feel of these as well, or maybe he likes to look at things on this sort of basis. So you can see this is quite flexible, and certainly the KPIs for your management team. I'm going to stop designing now, I'll probably change something. Gives that reporting all the way through. So you're streamlining end-to-end, one entry. Now the two areas that we discussed that are probably a little bit different is rather than use Dynamic Sales CRM, or which you may do down the track, I wonder whether or not the standard stuff in Business Central is a good starting point for you. So let's have a look at contacts. This up here is a global search, which is really, really nice. You don't have to look for something, you just type it in and select it. So at a high level here, automatically within Business Central, you've got this contact CRM. You can set contacts up as companies or individuals, and you can have more than one individual within a company. You can, from here too, do a sales quote, and because you're working in Business Central, your salespeople, if they like, can have a look at stock availability, lead time, sell prices, and all the rest of those sort of good things. So it enables very good and effective service. Over here, if I'm talking to someone, I can see the number of opportunities we've had with this company and the ones that we've won in the past. And you probably had the scenario where someone's going to go, I'd like another one of what I bought off you last year. And you can drill down and have a look at what was on that prior win. Okay, so these things here, we can create an opportunity if you do any tracking on that. We can put forward dates in of when I want to speak to someone next, and we've got our master details down here. I can put people into groups. There might be smallwares. There could be you want fryers. You take your choice, and you start to do your segmentation. You can also start to do questionnaire profiles and get a far closer understanding of your client. So what I'm thinking, Paul, this combined with the Business Central working with an Outlook for your salespeople might go a long way as you're getting your end-to-end integration happening to give you a result you want. So that's the first sort of question I've got. The second question we can look at, do this one here, is we look at jobs. So I've often explained jobs within Business Central as a bucket that hangs off the other subsidiary ledgers. So think of a job as something sitting there whereby anytime you move something from inventory, you can move from inventory to a job, or you can move something from a job to inventory. So whether it's your jobbing shop or whether it's your store fit out, you can set up a job and then put various tasks in. You can move stock items to the job. You can post timesheets for labour to the job. You can buy things in specifically for the job, and you can do subby invoices to the job. So if I just have a look at one little job here, decorate a conference room, what we're doing, we're saying here's the description of the work we're going to do, who we're going to bill it to, who set this up, and then we've got a list of number of tasks. So initial consultation, prep, deliver a table. These you can have as long and as deep as you like, and what you're trying to do initially is you build up your job, you're also looking at what your budget cost is or your expected cost is going to be. And as the other entries are going through, you get your actual cost and you get your billable. So you're almost getting a P&L pretty much straight away. Where it becomes quite effective in business is once you set these up, you can copy these tasks from one job to another. So let's say, for simplicity, there are 3 levels of store fit out: small, medium, large. You set up all the tasks and they need to be filled in each time, but it becomes that much faster and easier, and then you're starting to follow this. I can also let me have a look up in here, do a job budget to actual. It's over here. Have a look at resources. Okay, it's only the one. I haven't got too many resources on this one, I'm afraid. Maybe it's back over here. Job planning lines. Nope. Jim suggested. That's it. So once you've set up a job, it doesn't matter if it's a jobbing house or otherwise, then you can start allocate individuals, which are resources or inventory items, or place purchase orders. So this is where you're bringing up all your costs and estimates at this point in time to do it. You can also invoice from the job. So what I'm thinking is that this could be a simple way to put some controls in your jobbing shop. Could be a simple way of putting some controls in for your store fit outs and that type of work, because all that labor and timesheet and costs is put in there. You're building up, you're getting visibility. One area that some of our clients do like about this is that you've also, because purchase orders are also linked to these jobs, you can actually get your budget, your actual cost to date, and the sum of your purchase orders against that job is your committed costs. So it's bringing forward visibility to what's actually happening to that job much, much easier. So 2 things I want to do. So I'm making that sort of assumption here, Paul, that Business Central Finance, the general ledger, etc., is a big improvement in what you've got. Sales and debtors and creditors are going to be as good, if not better, than you've got. Inventory, I'd expect to be more powerful than what you're using. And jobs and contact management is just icing on the cake, but it's all one integrated system. Okay, so question is, it's more like a sanity check, is this heading in the right direction for the business? So let me come back over here to my slide. So your license includes all these. So you've got 89.20 per month. Microsoft manage it. You don't have to buy SQL licenses or servers or anything like that. They do the backups, so they do the geo redundancy. So all that's looked after for you. And that 89.20 gives you everything. Team members can look at anything that you let them look at, but they can't actually do many transactions other than maybe approve some timesheets or purchase orders. But managers could actually be a team member, so it's a very inexpensive way to do it. Your board members could be team members because I wouldn't expect board members to do journal entries or process invoices or cash receipts or stock takes. So it's a cheap way to do it. And because it's low risk, you don't have to buy this stuff up front across the whole business. You could start with half a dozen of these licenses and maybe you spend $600 a month just to get going and seeing how it all fits. What I tend to do with clients is also get them signed up for Microsoft Customer Source, and that gives you online training, materials, knowledge base, etc. So once again, you're speeding up that growth. So how do you do it to keep your costs down? And you can do it this way. So Microchannel, because we've worked with these products for a long time, has a rapid implementation approach. So a couple of things we need to be aware of this. I've got this listed on the left-hand side. It's one legal entity. So you've got multiple legal entities, but I'll come back to that. And we have our budget, says what we're going to set up, pre-configured reports, data migration templates, and we give these to you to actually populate, to load up. And we give you a customer statement, EFT remittance advice, sales and receivables, once again what we have and what you get, purchases and payables, inventory, a workflow for one day to train you in the workflow engine. We do training of 40 hours, testing and helping you test that everything is integrated, and through Jamana might do a bit of help there. We've got some go live support and also helping on infrastructure. Now that is $39,750 for one company. You've got multiples, but what you try and do is pick the most important one that will give you the benefit, get that one company up and running. By the time you've been through all these things, then your internal knowledge of Business Central grows significantly. You don't need to spend that money on every other rollout, but you use us where we add value, and you do as much as you can. You do as much of this yourself. So what I've said is the $39,750 services, and I've just put 10 days for jobs and 10 days for CRM, and maybe it's about 89,000. If I've made if you're probably smarter than me, it's 79,000. My mistake. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what you could look at doing without trying to do the huge big bang approach. It's low risk, it's a lower cost. Take it at your own time. Focus on where the benefits are, get the knowledge base in there. I think this would address what the management or the board want. I think it would probably address what you want, but at the end of the day, need that confirmation, Paul, that this is a sensible approach. If not, we'd look at another way to do it. So feedback from today, welcome the feedback from you. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.